Hi everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming to you live from Budapest, Hungary, Central Europe. All right, students, so happy Saturday. Today we are looking at IELTS speaking, especially part 3 of the speaking section. And as usual, our materials come from our website, IELTShelp.com or generalieltshelp.com. And for academic IELTS, check us out at aehelp.com. I'm writing the URL up top so you can always see that as we go through the lesson. All right. So you can get our books, our exam books, 6 full practice exams in digital or paperback. We use them in these live streams, so it's a good idea to purchase them at some point if you're watching these live streams regularly. And just go to Amazon, search for GE Helps General IELTS. And if you're doing academic IELTS, search Amazon for AE Helps Academic IELTS, and be sure to tune into Academic English Helps channel as well, where we do live streams right after this session. Hi, Afsana. Good afternoon in my part of the world, and good evening to you. I'm guessing it's later in your country. Hi, Sabrine. Good to see you in class as well. All right. So again, if you have any questions about IELTS, comments, concerns about our products, please contact me, Adrian at gieltshelp.com. That's gieltshelp.com. For General IELTS, our live streaming is on this channel, of course, General IELTS Help, 13:30, 14:30 Central European Time, Wednesday to Saturday usually. And for Academic IELTS, it's 15 to 16 o'clock on Academic English Helps channel. Okay. Today we have speaking part 3 on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There's no class. And then on Wednesday, I'm back with another example of email and letter writing. Hi, Jakir. And then continuing with general reading, listening sections 3 and 4. That's continuing from last week. And then task 2, problems and solutions. All right, so let's get to the speaking part of IELTS. As many of you know, especially if you took the exam before, IELTS speaking is done face-to-face. And even with the new computer-based IELTS exam, the speaking portion is still a face-to-face interview. Okay, IELTS believes that the best way to assess a student's speaking ability is to sit down face-to-face for about 10-12 minutes and have a conversation, answer questions. So your speaking can be a day before the other sections of the IELTS, the listening, reading, writing, or it might be the same day, just a different time, or it could be the day after. Okay, keep that in mind, but it's usually very close to the same day as the other sections. Now, students, what should you do on the day of your IELTS speaking test? This is very important, and having the right preparation and the right strategies before your speaking exam can easily increase or decrease your score by even a full band. Okay, so what should you do on the day of your speaking? Very important question. All right. Well, most of you hopefully have heard from your teachers and others to use English as much as possible. So use English as much as possible before your interview. Now, probably some of you are thinking, yeah, Adrian, I know that. I know I have to use English before my interview. But I know that so many students still don't do it. They choose the easy path. They chat with their friends or their parents in their own language. If you're in India, maybe Punjabi or Hindi. That's not good, okay? You have to use English because the brain needs to be in that language. There's research that shows that the brain uses different parts when speaking a different language. So you have to activate those parts of your brain. It's very important. Sometimes when I interview students for speaking in IELTS, their English in the beginning is a band 5, and then when they get to section 3, it improves to a band 6.57. And I'm kind of thinking, why didn't this student start using English earlier in the day, and then their whole speaking would be a 6.57 and not a 5, okay? So it's very important. Manpreet says, how long should we be required to speak before the exam? At least a few hours, okay? Now, with that, go to the exam about 40 minutes to 1 hour early. Take with you speaking samples. Find other candidates and ask them to practice. Okay, that is a very, very good strategy to save you at least a half band score or maybe even a full band score. So if you got 6 in your IELTS speaking and you didn't do this before your IELTS speaking exam, I suggest do this the next time you sit the IELTS, and I bet your band score will be at least a half band better just from this one strategy. So go to the exam 40 minutes, 1 hour early, get comfortable with the building, know where the washroom is, know where the exam room is, look around, and make sure you have some sample questions with you on a piece of paper. It's a good idea to print them out, not just on your phone, okay, but actually have a printed piece of paper. And when you look around, I bet you will find 1 or 2 people who look nervous, like they're waiting for their IELTS speaking. And then you can say, hey, are you here in English? Okay. Excuse me, do you speak English? Yes, I do. Are you here for your IELTS speaking exam? Yes. How did you know? Well, you kind of look nervous. So how about let's help each other? I have some speaking questions with me. Let's find a quiet place for 15, 20 minutes and just go over some questions and answers. I'll ask you some questions, then you can ask me some questions. We can give each other feedback, and you'll probably see a big smile on that girl or guy's or woman or man's face, and they'll go, thank you so much. You're my hero. You're my star. And then go and practice, okay? And that will help you to get a better score for sure, okay? Now, a third important strategy as you walk into that exam. Hi, Farheen. Hi, Manpreet. And I think I saw a student say this earlier in the chat. So when I was asking what to do, yeah, Jakir Alam says, stay calm. Just relax, okay? Don't panic. The sun will shine tomorrow, and you will live another day after the IELTS. Don't freak out. Don't panic. So stay calm. A good visual trick to do this, okay, is, well, let's go with a physical first, is breathe. So stay calm, breathe, take deep breaths. Okay. Remember, the examiner is a human being just like you. They're doing their job. You're doing your job. Your job is to get a high IELTS band score. Visualize the examiner as your grandfather or grandmother. Okay. Why, right? So the question here is why? Why should I see the examiner not as your friend, okay, not as your dad, not as your mom, not as your brother, but as your grandfather or your grandmother? Okay, there's a very specific reason for this. So just visualize it. Because grandpa and grandma are older, maybe they have a little bit of hard of hearing. So you remember that you have to speak loud, you have to speak clear, you have to speak respectfully. They don't know information that you know. They don't know about Facebook and Instagram, and they don't know much about technology and maybe some of the newer innovations in society. So you have to give them complete, clear answers, explanations with good examples so that they can understand, and nice and loud so they can hear you. Now, of course, grandpa and grandma love you more than all the world, so you can be very comfortable with them, very stress-free, okay? So you're stress-free, speak loudly, respectfully, and remember that they do not know what you know. They're a different generation, okay? So give complete explanations and examples. All right, so we're going to focus on these points today as we practice our speaking. All right, so here we go. We're just going to do a little bit of warm-up, and then we will focus on part 3. Students, please repeat nice and loud, okay? So I can't hear you. You can hear me. And I want to believe that you are saying the sentences that I say nice and loud, okay? And don't be shy when I ask you to give me an answer. Write it in the chat, and I will correct it real time. Now, make sure to repeat that nice and loud. So repeat questions, repeat answers, copy my intonation, copy my pronunciation as best as you can, okay? So speak with me nice and loud, okay? Repeat. Repeat, repeat. This is speaking practice. You're in this class to speak. Okay, so you get to the IELTS interview, and it's your turn. They open the door and call you in. They say, candidate number 7324, Mr. Nankumar D, come on in, please. And you remember to stay calm. You're not getting your teeth pulled out. You're not at the dentist. You're doing IELTS, okay? Just relax. All right, so you go in the room and the examiner says, welcome to the speaking portion of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner. Please take a seat. Okay, repeat after me. Thank you. All right, you have to say something when somebody says, please take a seat. Okay, say thank you. Don't just quietly sit down. As soon as the examiner says, please take a seat, that's the start of your conversation, okay? So say thank you. All right. Then the examiner will ask you for your full name. They'll say, they'll probably ask you for your identification first. So they'll say, may I see your identification or your passport? Repeat after me, nice and loud. May I see your identification or passport? Okay, be familiar with the questions. Sure, here you are. Yes, here you go. Okay, don't give a weird or strange, unnatural answer. All right? So, may I see your identification? Sure, here it is. Sure, here you are. Okay? If you say something strange right away, the examiner will be thinking, this student probably doesn't have a lot of real English experience if they can't give me a natural response for something so simple. So, sure, here you are. Okay? And then they'll match up your passport and your name. So they'll say, what is your full name? Okay? Be ready to answer that question. What is your full name? All right? And then give your full name. My family name is Gray, and my given name is Alexander. Please just call me Alex. Okay? If you don't say what the examiner should call you, especially because some examiners are not familiar with Middle Eastern or Asian names, they can be difficult to pronounce, they'll ask you, what should I call you? So jump ahead of that question, okay? Make sure you can give this answer clearly without mistakes, okay? It's just like this first one. If you're making mistakes so early in the game, in the first impressions, it's already knocking your IELTS band score down. You think it's not. You think, oh, these don't matter yet. I'm not getting graded on this. And you're not technically being graded yet, but you're already giving that first impression and setting up yourself for a lower grade if you're making mistakes. So my family name is Gray. Again, repeat. My family name is Gray and my given name is Alexander. Please just call me Alex. Okay, Farheen says, my given name is Farheen Begum. You may prefer Farheen. Okay, Farheen, if you have two given names, then it's Farheen Begum. But if your family name is Begum, then, and it says that on the passport, then it's a mistake. So careful about that, okay? Shanzai Khan says, my full name is Shanzai Khan. Shanzai is my given name and Khan is my family name. Just refer to me as Shanzai. Shanzai, perfect, okay? That will work, all right? That will work. It's good. A little bit lengthy, but it's good. Nair Sultana says, my family name is Sultana. My given name is Nair. Please call me Nair. Okay, careful with your typing there, Nair. Okay, good. All right. So then they'll say, okay, for part one, I'll ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. Are you ready to begin? Yes, certainly. Yes, I am. Okay, repeat nice and loud when I'm saying these points. All right. And then the examiner will say, what do you like to do at the weekends? They'll probably say at if they're using British English. And then again, for these kinds of everyday questions, be ready to give an answer. And don't look bored. Don't look like, every teacher in the world that teaches English asked me about my hobbies and my weekend, so I'm going to talk to you like this. Well, on the weekend, I like to go out with friends and watch a movie. Okay, don't do that. It's an IELTS exam. Score is very important for your future. You have to be really excited like it's the first time somebody asked you this question. Oh, wow, yeah, that's great. Thanks for asking. On the weekends, I love to watch movies, especially action movies. I just watched the new Avengers last Saturday. So be really excited, okay? Give me a good answer for this, students. What do you like to do at the weekend? Okay, type in your answers. I'll look at them. I'll give an answer myself. All right. So Jod Singh says, well, on my weekend, I spend as much time as I can with my family. Jod, why? Okay, a very, very important strategy during your speaking. Okay, so during your speaking IELTS strategy, number one, and this is the most important strategy to keep in mind for a high IELTS band score, is always focus on answering the why question, okay? Or giving the reason for your answer. If you don't, the examiner will probably ask you why, but you want to be preemptive. So you want to jump ahead of that question of why, and you want to say because or as a result, okay? So you want to spend time with your family because I hardly get enough time during the weekdays. Sure. Give me more information, Jod. And I really love my kids. They're a bunch of fun. Just this past weekend, I took them to Disneyland, okay? Pachu. And again, students, repeat your peers, repeat your fellow classmates, all right? Pachu Yadav says, I usually play football at the weekends because it keeps me fresh and healthy. Last Saturday, I played a friendly match at the school playground with my friends. Perfect, Pachu. Good. Afsana Afrin says, well, I like to sleep in as much as I can in the mornings on the weekends. And after that, I probably would go out with my friends to watch a movie. Like last Saturday, I watched the new movie Queen in theaters. Okay, Afsana, good. Not overslept. Overslept, we use that, Afsana, if you have an appointment or you need to go to school and you sleep in and that makes you late. Then we use the expression, I overslept. But otherwise, if you like to sleep late, then the correct expression is sleep in. I like to sleep in, okay? All right, some good answers there, students. If I didn't catch yours, don't worry. I'll focus to catch different students for different questions. All right. Again, repeat after me. My answer, on the weekends, I really like to play sports with my friends. Not only is it good camaraderie, but also it helps me to keep in shape. Just last Saturday, I had a great game of basketball with a group of guys and scored over 20 points. Okay. Notice a couple important or interesting aspects to my answer. So this is a high band answer. Why? I reflect the question on the weekends. Shows very clearly that I understood the question quickly, right away. I really like to play sports with my friends. Not only is it good camaraderie. Camaraderie means companionship, socialization. But also, I'm using not only, but also. That's a correlative conjunction. Those are very good in your speaking. They make your band score soar up, up, and up. Okay? And then I break into a very specific, visible, quantitative example. Just last Saturday, I had a great game of basketball with a group of guys and scored over 20 points, okay? So very clear, correlative conjunction, good complex grammar, good quantitative visible language. That's what you want in your responses to go for those high band scores. All right, and then maybe some other random question for your icebreaker. How often do you go to restaurants? Or you might have this topic. So the examiner might say, let's talk about restaurants. And then you have this question. How often do you go to restaurants? Please answer this question for me, students. How often do you go to restaurants? Okay, and focus again on giving a complete answer. Give the reason. Use complex grammar. Use joining words, so conjunctions. And use quantitative language, especially for how often. I'm going to write my answer up here as well, but focus on writing your answer into the chat so I can give you feedback on your answers, okay? All right, so waiting for your answers, students. While I wait for your answers, you can repeat after me. How often do you go to restaurants? How often question is looking for adverbs of frequency. So always, often, usually, sometimes, rarely, never. Okay, that's what it's looking for in the answer. Surendra Podell says, I go to restaurants twice a month. I usually go with my friends during holidays or weekends for relaxing. Okay. Refreshment purposes awkward English, Surendra. You wouldn't hear a native speaker say, I go to restaurants for refreshment purposes. That's kind of weird. You can go to a restaurant to relax because you don't need to cook or worry about dishes. All right. Even relaxing is okay. Refreshment purpose, definitely not. Okay. Jakir Alam says, as I am a foodie, I frequently like to eat out in restaurants at least once a month. Okay, good. Yeah. Once a month is maybe not a lot for some people, but for some people it is. So that's why quantitative language is good. Jakir, foodie, nice, modern expression. So good for you. Jod Singh says, not very often. Last time I remember vividly going to a restaurant is when I visited Pind Baluchi, which is a vegan restaurant, on the eve of my friend's birthday 6 months ago. Okay, Jod, nice. I like the complexity. There's a little bit of grammar mistake in there. I corrected that, so pay attention. But good use of quantitative language and visual language. Friend's birthday 6 months ago, eve of. Very nice. I like it. Okay. All right. So again, students, repeat after me. Nice and loud. So please repeat. I can't hear you. And believe me, I'm not saying this for my own good. I'm pretty confident that I would score quite well on my next IELTS exam. So this is for you. So repeat nice and loud. Well, I sometimes go to restaurants during the month. Like last month, I think I went about 3 or 4 times. Honestly, I prefer to eat at home as it is both cost-effective and healthy. And here, I might want to make this relative. It is both more cost-effective or cost-efficient and healthier. Okay, so make it relative. Now again, notice that I used both and. Okay, so both and. That's another correlative conjunction. I'm really pushing you to use your correlative conjunctions. Those are your paired conjunctions, like both and, neither nor, either or. Okay? All right. Then eventually you'll get to part 3. Now, part 3 will come after part 2, so you get a cue card. We're not doing that today. That's a full lesson. We'll do that maybe next week, another class. Okay. And we will focus on part 3. Part 3, they will be more detailed questions on a more specific topic. The topic will be related to part 2 topic. And expect the examiner to ask follow-up questions while you're answering. So you might get interrupted as well, okay? All right, students, so here we go. So imagine that you're finished part 1, you're finished part 2, and now the examiner says, okay, now we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you some further questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk more about managing society. And if you watch our Academic English Help channel, you might realize at this point that, hey, we did this part 2 earlier talk about an object used to control society. So here, part 3, let's talk more about managing society. When you hear the examiner introduce the topic, right away you should think about, okay, what will we talk about? What does it mean to manage society? Well, managing society could be rules, regulations, okay, police, infrastructure. Okay, so all of these ideas, when you hear this in part 3, should be popping into your mind. So your mind should start thinking, okay, managing society. Let's talk about managing society. He might ask me about how does the government control society? What kind of infrastructure do we have that helps manage or organize society? So all of these ideas and pictures should be coming into your mind, okay? Now, of course, worry not, the examiner will be quite fast to ask you that first question. And of course, remember that every question you're being asked after this introduction of this topic will be about managing society. So don't start talking about different ideas. If you think the question is not about managing society, you probably didn't understand it. So ask for a repeat. Okay, so the examiner says, who is responsible for managing society? The governments or individuals? All right, so who is responsible for managing society? Governments or individuals? Give me a good answer for this one, students. Okay, give me a nice answer for this question. I'm going to do the same. So I will also give an answer for this question. I will type it. While I type, think about your answer, put it into the chat so I can give you feedback. Okay? So take a couple seconds, give a good answer. All right, so let's see what you have put up there, and then we'll look at my answer. So Farheen says, according to me, the government and individuals play their own role to manage a society because governments work for society and society relies on the norms of government. Farheen, that's good. Okay, now I think you ran out of space, but you need to continue with individuals. But very nice answer. Good use of vocabulary, good use of expression, play their own role. I really like how you use that. That's great. Afsana says, in my view, not views, in my view, singular is better on that, Afsana. In my view, contribution from both the government and citizen is essential in controlling a society. Good start, Afsana, so keep going. Give me your explanation. Jod says, well, in my view, it is the onus of the government to manage society, but along with the government, I think we, the individuals, also have to play our role. For instance, education is the basic right of every human, but it is each person's responsibility to go to school and learn. Jod, good. I finished your sentence there. I guess you probably ran out of space, but that's good. Okay, it's a little bit of a tricky question, so I'm buying time, as are some of you. Well, that's an interesting question. Okay. And then we all seem to have very similar responses. So we are all saying both the government and the individuals. Government, arguably on a macro scale. Okay, macro means large in this case, large scale. And the individuals on a micro scale or a small scale, right? And I guess we're all saying more or less the same, okay? Nan Kumar says, can I use rulers instead of government? No, you cannot, Nan Kumar. Rulers is awkward. In most societies, we don't, most Western societies, we do not think about government officials as rulers. In fact, they're thought more of as civil servants these days. So rulers would be a very awkward paraphrase for an English speaker, for government. If it's a kingdom, maybe, but a government, no. All right, repeat my answer. Okay, nice and loud, repeat. Well, that's an interesting question. Oh, by the way, students, try not to read, okay? Try to look away from the phone. Or try not to read the text while you're repeating me. Just listen and repeat, okay? Don't read and repeat. Listen and repeat. Well, that's an interesting question. I suppose both the government and citizens are responsible for managing communities. I mean that governments need to establish laws and punish to safeguard people from violence and theft. But each person must make sure to follow these rules and report their obstruction to the authorities. Okay? All right, students. So that would be a high band answer. Now, here, your examiner might try to keep the conversation going by saying something like, sure, can you give an example? Okay, so they do try to make part 3 conversation style, and you can say, of course. For instance, the government makes the rule that it is illegal to steal a chocolate bar from a corner store. However, it is the adult's responsibility to tell the police or store owner if they see a kid putting a Kit Kat bar in their pocket. Okay, so that would be the way that you could give an example of how it is both the government and individuals' responsibility to manage society. Okay, so again, repeat after me. Examiner says, sure, can you give an example? Of course. For instance, the government makes the rule that it is illegal to steal a chocolate bar from a corner store. However, it is the adult's responsibility to tell the police or store owner if they see a kid putting a Kit Kat bar in their pocket. Okay. Pachu Yadav's example is, for example, eradication of property. The government ruin private class. I'm not sure what you mean by that end statement there, Pachu. You might want to rephrase that. Okay. Authority, Usman, is a good synonym for government. So it's the authority's responsibility. Yeah, sure. In this case, I would just use government to be more clear. Okay. And again, be specific. So I'm saying Kit Kat bar, but you might use something like Twix or some other chocolate bar that's popular in your country. All right, students, let's go to the next question. Here we go. So again, focus on complete answers. Use connecting words, conjunctions. Okay. Give clear explanations and include examples whenever possible. All right. So here we go. Repeat after me. This is the next question. Taxes are used to build and manage society. Do you think this is being done well these days? Why or why not? So taxes are used to build and manage society. Do you think this is being done well these days? Why or why not? It's a very subjective question. There's no right and wrong. Just give a clear answer. If you need time, use an expression to buy time. All right, give me your answers. I'll do the same. And then again, we'll compare our answers and I will correct your grammar mistakes or your language use mistakes. So don't be shy, okay? I always try to choose different students from the chat, so do your best. All right, let's see some answers. So Usman says tax rates have been an ongoing debate for centuries, while some people, especially those on the left of politics, believe that high rates should be instantiated. Usman, I think you're off topic, okay? The goal of this question is, are taxes being used well to build society, or are they being used poorly, okay? So that's what you need to answer, okay? Jod Singh says, there is no second thought about it that taxes help to build society. For instance, the recent bridge, which was built on the sea connecting two shores, will not be possible for any corporation. Sure. And then, Jod, you need to, again, answer the question specifically. So you need to say, in this sense, I think governments are using taxes well to finish projects that are not possible otherwise, okay? So good beginning, Jod. Just go back to make sure to finish the full question, okay? So are taxes being used well to build society? Yes or no? Farheen says, sorry, I'll go with Baur first. Baur A says, the first idea that springs to my mind is that taxes are spent well to build and manage society. Governments pay for a police force, which makes sure that there is no crime in the city. Okay, Bauer, good. Farheen says, that's an interesting question. Taxes collected from citizens are used for the betterment of people and public property, which not only gives comfort to individuals, but also attracts outsiders for tourism. Indeed, I believe that in my city, the government is doing a good job on completing these goals. Okay, Farheen, finish your response. Make sure you're answering the question. Okay. Afsana says, yes, it is helping to improve our public services, such as roads, transportation, as well as healthcare, which leads to a prosperous life or a higher quality of life. Enhanced life standards, Afsana, a little bit awkward. Okay, I probably wouldn't hear too many of my friends or colleagues say enhanced life standards. Enhanced living standards, maybe. All right, sure. Here's my answer. Okay, so here's my answer. Repeat nice and loud. The question is, taxes are used to build and manage society. Do you think this is being done well these days? Why or why not? Repeat after me. Well, I haven't thought about that much. However, I had thought before that a lot of tax money is being used poorly as it is wasted on over-administration of matters. I think there are a lot of government workers these days that pass documents from one office to the next, and this is a waste of public's money. This money could be better used to build more schools and hospitals. Okay. So here the examiner might say something like, can you expand on that? Okay. So again, it's conversation style, and these are the common kinds of questions that you should be ready for in part 3. Is this, can you expand on that? Okay. Now, if I were asked to expand on that, I would say certainly. I mean that instead of paying a $100,000 salary for 10 unnecessary government employees, the authorities could spend this money to build a new playground for the community. Okay, so can you expand on that? If you have that question, can you expand on that, or can you give me more details? Then give an example of what you just said. So visualize your example, see it, and give an example for it. So repeat after me. Can you expand on that? Certainly. I mean that instead of paying $100,000 salary for 10 unnecessary government employees each year, the authorities could spend this money to build a new playground for the community. Okay? Build and maintain if you want to get even more tricky. All right. So, students, next question. What kinds of technology will emerge in the future to help regulate people? Will this be positive for society? So this is a future type question. Again, answer this question on your own. I will put an answer up there also, and then we'll compare. Okay? So Brain says, talking about my country, Egypt, I think tax money is not distributed efficiently to improve public services such as education and health services. Good, Sabrain. That's a great answer as well. Okay, it's well done, Sabrain. Nice answer. That's why I decided to jump back and read that. Okay, everybody, answer this question about technology. Just make it up. Okay? Just make it up. Be creative. Don't overcomplicate it. All right. So while you're thinking about your answers, I've put my answers in there. Just keep focusing on what you think might be some technology that controls society in the future. By the way, students, I never plan these answers ahead because I want you to see that you can be very creative in real time. So I'm also, just like you, coming up with these answers in real time, okay? Again, repeat after me. What kinds of technology will emerge in the future to help regulate people? Will this be a positive for society? I'm sure that there will be new tech to control people in coming years. I'm just not sure exactly what. I guess that when self-driving vehicles become popular, there may be software to control them centrally by authorities like the police, such as when a criminal steals a car, it will deliver them directly to the nearest police station. Okay? So just being visual, creative, coming up with that example, and make sure to answer the full question. Will this be a positive? I suppose this is a positive for the larger society. Okay? Of course, not the thief. So that's my answer. Let's see what you've come up with. Jod Singh says, well, people are working on problems which we will face in the near term. For instance, Elon Musk is working on underground transport system to solve huge traffic problems in the United States. Jod, that's future tech, but again, it's to regulate people. Remember what I said, students, when you hear the examiner introduce the topic, let's talk more about managing society, you have to realize that every question will focus on managing society. So your answer has to target that as well, okay? Farheen says, well, in the future, I believe there will be a rise in the technology and government will use it to control individuals. I think it will be beneficial. Now, Farheen, the examiner at this point will definitely say, can you expand on your answer? Can you give me more details? So they were waiting for any kind of example that you can give of government controlling people. Easiest to think about are cell phones, mobile phones, software, computers, right? I'm sure a lot of you know in the past, torrenting online, so the illegal exchange of software, peer-to-peer sharing, used to be very popular. There's a lot more control over that now internationally, okay? Pachu says, yes, a lot of technology is going to emerge in the future. For example, AI and the space program. AI will replace manual work and make it more efficient and require less manpower to do jobs. This will also be used. So Pachu, you're on the right track, but you could say this will also be used to control people. For instance, robot police or robot police officers. Sure, it's possible. I have a feeling that we'll live to see a day when there are robot police officers on the streets. Sure, why not? Robots already work for the police in the bomb squad, right, to defuse bombs. So, sure. Okay, students, then if you have some great speaking skills and you're a Band 8, Band 9 student, I'm sure the examiner will actually ask you a few more questions because you're going to be very quick and fluent in conversation. So the examiner might say something like, let's discuss cultural change. People seem to care less about traditions these days as the world becomes increasingly global. What do you think may be the result of this in future years? What kinds of new cultural practices can be seen in today's society that did not exist 50 years ago? How has globalization impacted people's attitudes in their daily lives? Shanze, cryptocurrency for that previous question, that's a brilliant answer. That's a great answer. Yeah, absolutely. New forms of digital money will be used to control society, such as cryptocurrency. Absolutely, Shanze. That's quick, clever thinking. Okay, students, I'm out of time for these 3 questions, but you're not. Record your answers to these questions on your phone, just like we did for the previous 3 questions. So just like I did for these ones. Think about some good quality answers for these 3 questions here. And then after you record them on your cell phones, send them to my email as an attachment. I will listen to them in the next couple days and send you some feedback with a score estimate. Just send those recordings to adrian@gieltshelp.com, okay? So adrian@gieltshelp.com, record your answers on your phone, MP3 format, hopefully, and then send them to me. Students, again, for lots and lots of help, visit our websites. This is our general IELTS website with the green background. When you log in at the top into your My Student account, then you can actually find speaking partners when you click on this green button here. It says Student Partner Speaking. Just keep that window open. And if you want a speaking practice with me or with another IELTS professional, click on Speaking Interview Practice. That is a paid service. We also have that on our Academic IELTS website. Academic IELTS is with the blue background. Again, General IELTS is with the green background. So General IELTS is gieltshelp.com. Academic IELTS is aehelp.com. Tomorrow, no class Monday, Tuesday, but back on Wednesday with some more live streaming. You're very welcome, Pachu. You're very welcome, Afsana. Great participation. Good job, students. Now, in about 30 minutes, I will be starting another class for academic IELTS at our Academic English Help YouTube channel. So if you want to keep learning, join us there. If you need to take a bit of a break and just relax, it is the weekend. I understand. Your brain does need to relax and recuperate. In either way or in either case, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day and hope to see you next week. Much love to all of you. Bye for now.